Hello there, very good evening to you. Welcome to North West Tonight. I'm Eleanor Moore. It's our top story this evening. Coming together for the community, a multi-faith meeting in Southport amid more concerns of unrest. Police say they have robust plans in place to deal with any disturbances. Where's Jerry? Accrington shoppers search for the supermarket cat who's gone missing.
Jerry means everything to the people of Accrington. You know, we just want him back safely. Come back, Jerry.
And we've seen absolutely beautiful sunrise and sunset pictures sent in by our weather watchers. I'll show you some more and give you the full forecast at the end of the programme.
Well, it's certainly been a week like no other in Southport. A knife attack in which 3 little girls were killed, and then scenes of violent disorder on the streets. It's all left the town in shock and reeling. And as we now head towards the weekend, leaders of the Muslim, Christian and Jewish faiths have come together this evening to call for unity. They've stressed the need for the community to be allowed to grieve, and they've condemned those who've been trying to use this week's awful events to create division. Well, our reporter Katie Barnfield is live in Southport for us this evening with some of those faith leaders. Katie.
Well, yes, Ellie, as you say, tonight leaders from all different faiths and communities came together here in Southport to pay their respects in the wake of Monday's attack, in which 3 children lost their lives. They began at Southport Mosque and then they walked down here to the scene of the attack to lay flowers and pay their respects. This is, of course, a community that is very much still grieving after the attack. People have been coming here still all day to lay tributes, and the faith leaders also used the opportunity tonight to call for calm in the wake of riots. Of course, we saw one targeting the mosque here in Southport on Tuesday, and further unrest across the northwest and beyond as well. 7 people have now been arrested for that riot that was targeting the mosque here on Tuesday. And earlier, Merseyside's Police and Crime Commissioner Emily Spurrell warned against further violence at protests planned over the weekend and said the police will have all the resources they need to tackle that.
Merseyside Police have got a very robust plan in place. There are additional officers who've been drawn in from other areas to help monitor, the demand across the region. But Merseyside Police are very much prepared to take a robust response to anybody who would seek to, as I say, commit disorder, to spread violence, spread hate. They are very much committed and ready to take action against anybody who would seek to do that here in Merseyside.
Well, I'm joined now by Archdeacon Pete Spears, Imam Carrie Asim and Rabbi Robin. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here tonight. We'll start with you, Carrie Asim, first. Why was it important to organise this today, coming together of different faith leaders?
We all stand here united today against those who shamelessly exploited people's emotions and collective grief. And people came together to actually say that we have a lot more in common than that which divides us. And it's really important and symbolic that we all share the same faith tradition, that to take one life, it is as if you have taken the life of all humanity. And we stand here to show our condolences and pay our respects to the families of the young victims and also those who've been injured, but also saying enough is enough. This kind of violence on our streets, attack on mosques and faith institutions is not acceptable. There is a growing rise of Islamophobia in this country, and we must all stand collectively to defeat all forms of hatred, including Islamophobia.
Well, Archdeacon, you work in the local area, don't you? How are the community feeling, do you think, in the wake of Monday's attack now?
Well, I think they were struggling to come to terms with what happened on Monday night and Monday daytime, and that was bad enough. And everyone has got a story about that, of where they were. They might know someone, or they know something about it, and so they are grieving. And then on Tuesday night, everyone gathered at the Atkinson Gallery for that vigil, and that was powerful. And then late on Tuesday night, we saw people coming from outside just wanting to stir up trouble and divide this community. But what you saw on Wednesday morning was the real Southport, and it was really moving and humbling to see that. And I'm very moved to see these imams come and rabbis from across the Northwest to say thank you to the community, because we do stand together. We stand together for hope and love and peace, and we want to stand against racism, Islamophobia, and anything that tries to divide communities against each other.
And Rabbi Robin, what do you think the community around here and beyond needs to heal from this now?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to spread a message of love and connection. I know people feel terrified and angry about what happened on Monday. That's natural and it's right, because it was a tragedy, and to be at the epicentre of that, we can only imagine the pain in it. But I know and we know that that kind of hate and that kind of violence can't be met with violence. This community needs space to heal. And we know people came in from outside, from different places, to divide, to exploit the emotions. So we've come across from different parts of the Northwest to instead come and show friendship. And it was really powerful to be at the mosque, to hear the stories of the religious leaders there about what it was to be in the building at the time, to continue to get calls and threats, and to also hear the story of the amazement of the local community coming and clearing up. And those are the message that needs to be amplified, and for all of our direction to be on the families and the loss and the pain.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Well, obviously, this community has come together in many different ways over the last few days, but one of the more poignant examples came from a young Taylor Swift fan. She's 11 years old. Her name is Autumn, and she's telling her story is our reporter, Kaylee Watterson, who herself is a Southport resident and was here in the aftermath of the events on Monday for North West Tonight. Here's Kaylee's report.
Making friendship bracelets to hand out in Southport. These volunteers hope they will bring people together and encourage them to talk, like Taylor Swift fans do when they hand out friendship bracelets to each other. It's being led by Louise, who runs a charity.
At the vigil, we recognise that there'll be a lot of children there that will be in a very unfamiliar environment, but we wanted them to feel safe and to bring them comfort with something they are very used to doing. So that's why we took friendship bracelets that could be shared. The bracelets are an icebreaker, I would say. There's just something physical and tangible that people can connect over.
Donations of beads have been received, and local businesses have got involved too, with people giving up their time to make the bracelets.
It seems like it's such a small gesture, but to the kids I think it meant a lot more. Just a couple of hours of our time making bracelets.
If it's going to be something that's going to help the kids open up and be able to get involved in a way that makes sense to them, then it just seemed like the right thing to do.
But although Louise is working on this, it's an 11-year-old girl who has really helped to grow this idea.
So Tammy, you were the one that connected with Autumn, didn't you, at the vigil? Tell me a bit about that and what happened.
Yeah, it was the end of the vigil, and she came up to me when everyone was leaving, and she saw that I had some Swiftie bracelets on. And we just sat chatting about bracelets, about what's happened and about the vigil.
Autumn and the charity have now come together to make bracelets, and Autumn's mum is so proud of her.
I know everybody's not going to love a bracelet, but I think the bracelets will help some people in some small way, and if that does bring a little bit of a smile or a little bit of a joy in what's been a really difficult time for our town, and if it helps our children for the future, then it's been a worthwhile thing, and it's a great idea that Autumn started with.
This has been a really difficult week for Southport, and it's something I'm all too aware of. Southport is my hometown. I grew up in a house not far from Hart Street, a house where my parents still live today. And I was here on Monday listening to the stories of people involved on that day. And although there have been other events that have taken place this week, it's worth remembering that this is a town grieving and trying to come to terms with what happened here.
Kaylee Watson, BBC North West Tonight, Southport.
Well, this evening, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has announced a new package of support for the community here in Southport, saying the government will work with local agencies to provide things like mental health support, organise community events and work out how best to heal from this week's tragic events. Ellie.
Katie, thank you. Let's take a look at some of the other news in the region now, shall we? And police have released these pictures of people they want to speak to in connection with serious disorder in Newton Heath in Manchester on Wednesday night. It followed the violence on the streets of Southport this week. Up to 100 people clashed with police. 2 people were injured. A man has died after a house fire believed to have been started by an e-scooter. The blaze spread quickly through a semi-detached house at Chorlton in Manchester in the early hours of this morning. A man in his 30s escaped, but fire crews later found the body of a man in his 70s inside. A man who posed as a taxi driver so he could rape vulnerable women that he'd picked up has been jailed for 17 years. The court heard that Nazim Asmal of Blackburn lured his victims into his cab as they were on their way home from nights out before driving them to remote locations and assaulting them. He admitted 4 counts of rape and sexual assault. And Chester Zoo is celebrating the birth of one of the rarest animals in the world. The new Persian onager foal has been called Jasper. There are only around 600 of them left in the wild. Well, next we go to Ellesmere Port, where there's a fresh threat to the future of Vauxhall's vehicle plant tonight. It employs around 2,000 people. Now, the firm's parent company, Stellantis, has announced a strategic review of its operations. It all stems from an ongoing row with the government over meeting targets for electric vehicle sales. Well, earlier I spoke to Professor David Bailey of the Birmingham Business School, and I asked him whether this is a serious threat by Stellantis to move their business elsewhere or just posturing.
I think it's a bit of both. So Stellantis are very good at putting pressure on governments and workers to try and screw as much as possible out of them. They're experts at that. So they certainly want something from the government, and this is a pressure tactic. At the same time, they do have a genuine grievance with UK government policy, moving the target date for banning petrol and diesel from 2030 to 2035. They've also introduced a hugely complicated and difficult policy called the mandate, and they've taken away subsidies for people buying electric cars.
So you mentioned there, Professor Bailey, one of the central issues at the heart of this is the Zero Emission Vehicle Mandate, or ZEV mandate. Just take us through that. What is it?
What it basically does is it forces companies to sell a certain proportion of their cars as electric. That began this year with a 22% target, i.e. firms have to sell 22% of their cars in the UK as electric, or they get fined £15,000 of fine per car if they miss the target. That ramps up over the next few years and gets to 80% by 2030. Now, part of the problem is they shifted the target for banning petrol and diesel to 2035. Secondly, they've introduced a mandate at way too high a level. So car companies aren't going to get to 22%. They face potential fines, and they've got concerns about their profitability. So Stellantis in particular have a real bugbear about this mandate, which has been very badly handled and badly introduced.
Will the change of government help in all of this then? Because it was, as you say, the Conservatives that set the mandate.
I certainly hope so. The mandate has been very badly handled. I'm hoping that the new government will be able to have some constructive conversations with the industry and think about how they can sort of put some confidence back into the electric vehicle take-up, but also think about how we can encourage private buyers. Essentially, demand for electric vehicles in the UK is still growing, but it's amongst businesses where there are big tax breaks. Amongst private buyers, demand is essentially stalled, partly because they're thinking, well, the target is not 2030 now, it's 2035, I can wait a bit, but also because the upfront cost is too high.
So this review announced by Stellantis of its 2 British sites, how much heat will that put on the government to do something?
I think they've seen the fact there's a new government come in. The government is willing to have a conversation about changing policy, and Stellantis are ramping up the pressure effectively.
And if you were a betting man, they have put a lot of money in turning Ellesmere Port into an electric vehicle plant. Would you back its future here?
I think it ultimately depends on the policy environment. I think Stellantis are extremely angry about what has happened. And I think if the government is willing to listen and come up with a more supportive policy and a more kind of gradual transition to 2035, there's every chance, I think, that Ellesmere Port can remain open.
Professor David Bailey, thank you very much. Now, next, it's Friday night. The sun's still out. Noel Gallagher, Paolo Nutini and the Lightning Seeds, amongst others, are in town, and 40,000 people heading for the Lowther Deer Park in Cumbria this weekend. It can only mean one thing, of course. It's one of the UK's biggest music festivals, Kendal Calling. And Sharina Saga has more from there for us.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can you hear that? That's Kendal Calling. The music festival is in its 19th year and it's sold out once again.
Got a sheet for my bed and a pillow for my head. I got a pencil full of lead and some water for my throat. I got
With me now is Andy Smith, who's one of the co-founders of the festival. Kendal Calling has been going since 2006, Andy. And when you started, it was only capacity for 900 people. And now look at it, it's one of the biggest festivals in the north. What's the secret to your success?
There's no specific secret recipe, but what we've done really well is we've gone very slowly. So it might have been 900 people 19 years ago, but it's only gradually grown each year, and what we've always done and taken pains to do is to listen to the feedback from the audience and the wonderful staff that we have working on site, and make sure that every improvement possible is made each and every year. Basically, we just design it around what the audience wants to see, and we try to give them the best possible weekend they can get.
This is Lowther Deer Park, but there's not a deer in sight because for 4 days it's home to 40,000 music lovers.
I love that it's close to home. It's all about inclusivity. We've got people our age, younger people, and everybody just gets on, has a really good time. We just love it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's so good. I'm enjoying it. When I wake up, I'm like, right, can we go now? Can we go to the festival? Can we just party and that?
So what's great about it is that all the rubbish that's going on outside Kendal Calling in the UK at the moment, and you put 40,000 people together and they just gel, that's such a positive thing to happen, and that's the power of a good festival.
Well, there are hundreds of artists and performers taking part, and if you wander around, you never know who you might spot. And I've just seen the Snuts. Hello, gents.
Hello.
Now, this is your third time playing the festival, isn't it?
Yeah, this was our first festival as a band. We were just kind of young kids, hoping to play festivals like this, and this is the first one that would actually have us. And we keep coming back, and it's, you know, it's super family orientated, and I think everyone's welcome here. So.
Kendal called, and the crowd answered, and they'll do it all again tomorrow. Sharina Saga, BBC Look North, Penrith.
Few excited people there, I think. Now, whatever your knowledge of cats, you'll be aware that they like to roam, which in the case of one from Accrington means daily visits to his local supermarket. Happens to be Asda. Now, over the years, Jerry the Asda cat, as he's become known, has become hugely popular with shoppers there. But now they're having to help with efforts to track him down because he's gone missing. Ian Haslam has more.
Jerry, oh, he's a gorgeous boy.
Jerry the cat at home, the place he usually retires to after hanging out at his home from home Asda, where this photo was taken. Unfortunately, he's not been seen there or anywhere for more than a fortnight.
It's just part of the family, I think. That's basically it, yeah. Everybody just looks out for it and looks after it.
Oh, they're devastated, the people. Devastated. Jerry means everything to the people of Accrington. You know, we just want him back safely. Come back, Jerry.
It's the talk of the town and social media. Jerry has nearly 5,000 Facebook followers, and each appeal to find him has been shared hundreds of times. Such is his popularity, one man even had a Jerry the Asda cat tattoo done a couple of years ago.
I go to get the baby trolleys and he's always led in there and I'm saying, come on Jerry, shift out way.
Sometimes for stroking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes our mum just lets us go past it.
Yeah, we do sometimes leave him alone and let him sleep, don't we?
It goes inside the foyer though when it's raining.
Yeah, sometimes people find other supermarkets to hang around in it.
Well, yes, and it may have gone to Tesco's.
Yeah.
Prices might be cheap.
Well, you just don't know, do you?
Jerry's owner, Rachel, who wasn't available to feature in this report, is now planning to distribute posters around the area. She told us how grateful she was to the huge number of people helping and confirmed the cat has been chipped.
In an attempt to become a hero, I've actually bought a bag of cat food, as you can see. Beef and chicken, that's enough to put you off it for life. But I thought maybe it might attract our missing cat, but it's been in vain so far.
Looking for a cat.
My grandchildren come here as well, don't they? And they love it, they stroke it, but they've not seen it.
Yeah, no one has, no one has.
Where has it gone?
Well, that's the big question. Have you seen it anywhere? Have you seen Jerry anywhere?
No, not seen Jerry anywhere, sorry.
Clearly, there are fears for Jerry's safety, but everyone in Accrington is optimistic that he'll return as he has previously.
they're hopeful, the owner's hopeful anyway, that someone's picked him up thinking he's a stray, I think.
That has happened before. Somebody's taken him before, and then he was returned. So I don't know. We hope he comes back. We love him.
Everybody comes shopping and they always give it something or make a fuss of it, you know. So yeah.
Maybe it's just gone to find a new audience.
But it could have got Aldi because it's been there before now.
A town hopes its favourite feline will be back entertaining supermarket shoppers soon. Ian Haslam, BBC North West Tonight, Accrington.
Oh, come back, Jerry, although I don't think he'll be seen anytime soon as long as Ian's out there. Now, one of our viewers, Marie from Accrington, thank you for getting in touch with that story. If you've got something you want us to report, you know what to do. Let us know. Now, Emmanuel is here with the weather.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Ellie. So, yes, a rather pleasant day, actually, for the most part, but it was the sunrise and sunset pictures which really got my attention. So this is how things were in Cumbria last night, and very similar conditions in parts of Lancashire this morning as well. Thank you to all our weather watchers for sending your absolutely beautiful pictures. And as always, you can send them to me on social media, and you can also sign up to become a weather watcher. Right then, so having said that, as I mentioned, a rather pleasant start today. Things have turned a little bit more cloudy, a few showers as well this evening and tonight. But tomorrow, I think we are back to the more settled conditions around the region. So a quick look at the pressure chart then. Tonight, we do have these fronts moving in, and that will bring us showery outbreaks of rain, which could be quite heavy for quite a lot of us. A closer look at the detail, that rain moving eastwards. Behind it, something clear. We might just start off with some fog in places, temperatures down to around 13 degrees Celsius, 11 degrees on the Isle of Man. So as that front continues eastwards, that means tomorrow it's a dry and sunny start. Some clouds might just bubble up at times. We could see a few showers in parts of Cumbria, down into Lancashire as well. But you'll notice temperatures lower than they have been for much of this week. Highs of 19, 20 degrees, which is actually around the average for the time of the year. So tomorrow night then, a dry and pleasant night really, but then we'll start to see the cloud moving in as we head into Sunday morning, and that's because of a warm front. So Sunday itself, quite a lot of cloud out there. We could see some sunny spells at times, perhaps the odd shower as well, but temperatures is starting to improve ever slightly and into the new week as well, because we start to pull up that southerly or southwesterly breeze. Back to you.
Emmanuel, thank you. Well, don't forget, you can keep up to date with the latest on BBC News website. I'll have the late news at 10:30 as well. Until then, it's bye from us. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.